we now talk about a Trump interview. Really sick of this guy's face being on the screen today. But here he says something pretty dangerous and also doesn't seem to understand, again, that the foundation of his argument justifying the Insurrection Act talk is really weak. So this was in this Maria Bartiromo interview. A lot of terrifying moments, including this.
You're going to go to San Francisco next.
We're going to go to San Francisco. The difference is I think they want us in San Francisco. San Francisco was truly one of the great cities of the world. And then 15 years ago, it went wrong. It went woke. Remember my statement? Anything woke is, and then I used a filthy, well, broke is another word. I used a filthy word, but I didn't. No. I took enough heat on that. I won't say it again, but it's true. I mean, it's nothing.
I think it was just BS is the word they used. So filthy. I was so filthy. I was such a filthy boy.
Changes, right? But we're going to go to San Francisco, and we're going to make it great. We're going to make it great. It'll be great. Again, San Francisco is a great city. It won't be great if it keeps going like this. Chicago's another one. So the head of the Union Pacific, who you probably had on your show, he started off as like a conductor, and now he's the chairman. Sort of a great story. His father worked for the railroad, the Union Pacific, great company. And he was in my office, and I talked to him because he knows all the cities. He said, "Sir, save Chicago. It's a great city. We're going to lose Chicago. Save Chicago." That was 2 months ago. And I said, let's do it. And I met with like this legal force. And don't forget, and I haven't used it, but don't forget.
Okay, listen to this part.
I can use the Insurrection Act. 50% of the presidents almost have used that. And that's unquestioned power. I choose not to. I'd rather do this. But I'm met constantly by...
So as they're going, oh, you're so ridiculous to be out on the streets doing a No Kings protest, he says, which we keep hearing behind the scenes, he's considering using the Insurrection Act to further centralize his own power and justify his own federal overreach and deploy military members onto the streets for his own interests. And then describes, what would that give me? Unquestioned power. Well, that's why everyone was protesting. Because to invoke the Insurrection Act, you kind of have to have something insurrectionist. And you don't. You can't just call 12 people and someone dressed up as an animal outside of an ICE protest or an ICE facility is an insurrection. It's not. Or crime. Isn't it? It's not. But unquestioned power is the wording that he used there as to what's being considered. And it's interesting he brought up San Francisco because the reasons they keep saying that sending the troops in and Trump's federal takeovers are justified is because crime's so out of control. But you just had this reporting. I don't know. It just keeps happening. San Francisco's homicide rate's on track to be the lowest since the 1950s. Since the 1950s. And violent crime has been plummeting. So you don't have a data-driven argument, which I still wouldn't agree with, but for this federal overreach. And in many cases for breaking the law and violating the Constitution. And then you're talking about unquestioned power. Well, that's exactly why people were protesting over the weekend. Then, did you see the number? Did you see? Now we have another round of, I think the last of a game we play here at the show, which is when Trump ups his number for how much investment he's brought into the United States. Just one of y'all can guess. Last time I think it was at 17 trillion. He said he brought in 17 trillion. What's your guess now?
I'm going to say you rounded it to 20 trillion.
Okay, let's go.
But yeah, $17 trillion. It could be $20 trillion by the end of the first year, first year.
Investment in America.
Investing in America, $20 trillion.
Aaron Rupar said, Trump now says he's secured $20 trillion in investments in America. His fake number has increased by $2 trillion just since last Thursday. The entire GDP of the United States is $30 trillion. So it's a completely fabric. It's not like, okay, yeah, but admit he brought in a lot, like 10 trillion of it. Nope. We'll do another rundown of their receipts page. Last time we did it, it was so tiny, it was laughable. And it was relying in part on Biden era investments. But now we're up to $20 trillion in investments that Trump facilitated in an economy of $30 trillion. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Then he's asked, well, why won't you just negotiate to get the shutdown to end? They have very specific demands. Why wouldn't you extend these subsidies? That would be in the interest of working class Americans. While you watch his response, please do click the subscribe button if you appreciate the show. Easiest, simplest way to support the work we do is just that button.
Aren't you going to have to compromise on something around
I don't know.
healthcare subsidies
Here's
to end
the
this
problem.
thing?
They want to give 1.5. They have a deal. We have a deal. We just want an extension. And the reason we want an extension is because you can't make a deal with these people. They're lunatics. They've gone crazy. They're crazed people. Trump derangement syndrome. There really is that disease. At first I found it to be amusing. Now I find that there really is. They want $1.5 trillion for health care for illegal aliens that come into our country. If we do that, it will jeopardize the health care of the citizens of our country. So we're not going to do that.
So, again, when it comes down to the blame game about the shutdown, of course, it's true the Democrats are not agreeing to a continuing resolution. They're not agreeing to fund the government. Then you ask why, and they have their demands around healthcare that are not at all what he said. But then you think back, well, why weren't there shutdowns under Biden? Because he had a very hostile Republican Party for part of his administration in the majority in Congress. And wouldn't they have come to a similar stalemate? And the reason is negotiating. And Biden made some concessions. That's called governing. That's governing. And that's what happened. And there weren't any shutdowns. Trump's not doing it. And then you think, well, how far are we from them getting to some concession or some deal? And Trump choosing to govern. Well, he's still working with a completely made up talking point. Completely made up. That Democrats are trying to get $1.5 trillion for undocumented immigrant health care. Just a lie. And not because the numbers actually want a lie. And so if he's not even close to honest about what they're demanding, how is it remotely reasonable to think that tomorrow he'll agree to something with them? And that's where we start getting afraid of the damage that's being done by the shutdown and how long it could be. While I very much sympathize with Democrats saying this is a rare moment where we need to get something out of Trump, because otherwise, even just on the issue of healthcare, we're going to see a disaster in the upcoming year. Then you have Trump responding to Obama, saying he's threatening democracy.
And all of these indictments caused Obama the other day on a podcast to say that right now democracy is being threatened.
Yeah, I know. He says that all the time. He's the one that threatened it by spying on my campaign. He started it.
Didn't happen.
Obama spied on my campaign.
No, he didn't.
And he did it knowing it was illegal. He knew it was illegal, but he started the whole thing. And there were a lot of dishonest people, and I suspect they'll be caught.
Okay. So, again, just working off of a lie there. On the bonus show, here's what's exciting. Here's what's making me hang in for today's show. We're going to get to talk about a wife who found her husband's full-size, life-size sex doll and the moral questions around that, as well as George Santos coming back. That's less fun. And we're also going to talk about George Santos' life-size sex doll. No, but that's fun, you know? I'm sick of this. I'm sick of this. It's newsworthy, which is why we're talking about it. But it's so sickening how we're operating in a bizarro world where the president is just living in an alternate universe. And we have to debunk the same lies over and over again. And he keeps repeating this too. He's shocked that black women support him. Now, he's making this story up too, but why is he so surprised by the idea that a black woman would ever support him? I'm surprised that any person would support him, but why is he so specifically surprised
We want to go in and do what we did in D.C. So we're in Chicago now. We're being met with, by the way, the people love us. The people want us there. I said, beautiful black women wearing MAGA caps all over the city. It's the most incredible thing. I love it.
I mean, it's totally shocking. He repeats this now in every interview. I can invade Chicago because beautiful black women have MAGA hats on in his dreams. And again, let's assume he's not lying about that. He probably, I mean, you could find some black woman to put on a MAGA hat, so whatever. I'm sure that's what he saw. But he probably is just coming up with it in his head. And assuming there's just hordes, there's just full protests, black women for MAGA going on in Chicago right now. Still, this bewilderment that he has having to bring that up every single time just tells you a little bit about something about him. Why would you be so shocked? Like, imagine if I said our live show was really successful. I spoke, we did music, it was great, and beautiful black women were coming up to me and saying, wow, I love you, Luke. And I was like, what? Really? That's what he's doing. It's strange.